morning everyone, welcome to Study Well Japan. Today's topic is real estate in Japan number 2. If you have your own apartment, how you should rent your apartment. It's very interesting. Basically there's two types. The first one is you rent apartment without establishing a company, and the second choice is you rent your apartment after you establish your own companies. Let me explain you the difference. So there is 4 ways that you start renting apartment. The first one is without establishing companies, and there is the 3 patterns that you rent apartment after you establish the companies. The first case is company only manages the apartment. The second case is the company subleases the apartment, and the third case is the company owns the apartment. So the tax amount will be different for each cases. The first case is you're renting an apartment without establishing a company. So it's very ordinary process and easy to do it. So when you make the real estate income, you have to pay the personal income tax. So the personal income tax is the lowest tax rate is 15%, and the highest is 55%, including the inheritance tax. It really depends on how much incomes you make. And the personal income tax is the comprehensive tax systems. So if you have the other income, the salaries and rent income, they combine together, and you have to pay, the higher tax rate will be applied for the total amount of your incomes. So what kind of expenses you can actually recognize when you rent apartment? Depreciation is okay, and repairment is okay, and you pay the management fee to the real estate brokers, and also you pay the fixed asset tax. That are all deductible, but your tax is not deductible item, and repayment of the loan is not deductible because it is not a PL transaction, it's a balance sheet transaction. And entertainment expenses and salary to the families, some amount is accepted. So even though you're renting your apartment as an individual, if your renting business is big enough, you can apply for the blue form tax return status. If you have blue form status, you can recognize additional expenses of 650,000 Japanese yen, and you can pay the salary to your wife or relatives, and you can carry forward the loss for 3 years, and you can expense a small asset whose acquisition cost is less than the 3,000 Japanese yen. But the criteria you have to satisfy. I said that you must own 10 rooms or 5 buildings or equal size. So your business must be big enough to apply for the blue form return status. And you need to file the application to the tax office. So from now I'm talking about how you do the renting business with your own companies. The first case is you're renting the apartment, and your own company manages your apartment, and you pay the fee for the management companies. So in this way you can recognize additional expenses, which is management fee to your companies. And if the management fee is too much, the tax office will deny the expenses. So in general, appropriate amount of the management fee is between 5% to the 10%. But still you can save tax. So the second case is you are the owner of the apartment and rent your apartment to your management companies, and your management company rent apartment again. So in this way, the money after the management company receives the rent, you know, the management company pays the rent to yourself, to you. So in these cases, your management company takes the risk of the vacancy. So compared to the previous cases, management fee can be higher, so which means you can recognize more expenses. Appropriate amount is probably 10% to the 50% of the rent income. And the third case is, this is most tax effective way. You sell your property to your company, and your company rent the apartment. So in this way, the company can recognize all the cost, like depreciation, and the company, of course, it's a company, pays salary to the employee, which maybe can your wife or yourself, and repairment cost. So all this is like all profit income is shifted from you to your companies. That's why it's most tax effective. But you have to be careful that when you sell your property to your company, you have to sell it at the market price. So you may need to recognize the capital gain and pay the tax. So you should talk with your tax accountant before you do it. And from the inheritance tax perspective, apartment, the value of the apartment is lower than the house for the living. So if the apartment is rented out, the evaluation will be 30% lower than the normal. So let me summarize the good point and bad pros and cons of establishing a company. By establishing a company, you can recognize additional expenses such as management fee and salaries, and you can shift the income from individual to the companies. The company's corporate tax rate is fixed, so you maybe can save the tax if you're making a lot of the rent income. And individual can carry forward the loss only for 3 years, but the company can carry forward the loss up to 9 years. And the evaluation for the inheritance tax become lower. This is a good point, but there is a bad point too. To establish a company, you have to pay the tax and professional fees. So in case of the GK, it's about 200,000. In case of the KK, it will be about 300,000 Japanese yen. And if you establish a company, you have to pay the per capita tax. This is the tax levied on the company's capital, and the minimum amount is 70,000 Japanese yen annually. So even though the company is making the loss, the company has to pay this tax. And if you establish the companies, you have to prepare the tax return and the financial statement, and which is more difficult for the corporate than the individual. So you need to pay the fee for the tax accountant. And if the company pays a salary to the employee, the company has to pay the social insurance cost too. I hope you enjoyed these lectures, and see you next time. Thank you for watching my videos. I will make more and more useful videos this year too. So please subscribe, and see you next time. Bye bye.